All right, what's up, guys? This is episode 46 of the Master of One podcast titled EACC7. This one, I might have a lot of things to talk about. I'm going to try to go through some things fast. The last podcast I was supposed to do was on the Charlotte Open, but I decided to combine them into one big podcast. So I'm going to break down EACC7, the tournament, as well as my Charlotte Open I played about two and a half weeks ago. So to start things off, we're going to go through EACC7, the prep, the results, and all that good stuff. So we had 60 players play. Our previous record was 45. So that was great. It was definitely really cool to see such a big turnout and so many people play. To recap the winners, first place was Kagan Oos. He scored 4 out of 4. He had some very interesting games. So he ended up winning a crazy game against Vedic Panda, a Strong's point 200, and then he grinded out a endgame against Alex Rutten. So my friend was telling me that Kagan has become very good at grinding positions. He actually grinded a position against him. But also Kagan has this style of playing very attacking, kind of crazy chess. The way I would describe it is he's kind of like a striker with good jiu-jitsu. If he wants to strike, he wants to kind of attack you and checkmate you. But he does have the ability, if it goes to the ground, if it goes to the end game, to squeeze out a win, to find that submission and win the game. So I would say these grinding out these positions is the more sustainable way to win games. Of course, you want to always be able to do both. That's a very important skill that you'll see, not just with chess players, but with fighters too. All the people at the top. The best example I could think of is John Jones. He's very good at both aspects of mixed martial arts. So moving on, first place in the under 1800 section with 3.5 out of 4 is Ranganath Sadayappan. Maybe I said that right. But he gained about 150 points. He had a good tournament. He was actually worse against one of my students in an endgame. But I think what he did is he played really fast, and he was very good at creating counterplay and creating threats. And that's, I think, what ended up winning him the tournament as well as the cash prize. His parents were pretty happy. I remember hearing them on the phone being like, yo, he gained a bunch of rating. Like, we're very excited. Also, whenever a kid can win $400, it's a good day for the family as well as the winner. And then first place in the under 1400 section was Krithik Kalaivannan. He's actually a student of mine. He gained about 150 points, went from 1150 to 1300. He was very, very excited. He was so excited during the game, he would do a little dance. It was a little shoulder shake, a little shimmy. He was 3 out of, so he was 3 out of 3, but all the games were like very back and forth. Like one game he actually should have lost, but his opponent flagged. One thing that I do see a lot in chess is when you were supposed to lose, but you come back from the depths, you'll like generally that means you're just gonna have a good tournament. It's like basically like God is on your side this tournament. That's and that just happens sometimes. Sometimes you can do the wrong things, you miss the tactics, but you find the wins. And he was definitely in form this tournament. I will say, like, he's been practicing, he's been studying, but what he really needs to work on is puzzles and tactics. Because every game I pretty much saw, except for the last one, he had wins, but he missed some tactics. So that is very, very important. But I will get to that more in the tactics section. So another reason he's excited is I have a rule for my students. From 0 to 1400, you have to play these set openings. It's just the best, so you don't have to learn as much. These openings are good enough. Stonewall, Dutch, French. But also my rule is once you get to 1400, you step up and you're going to learn a new opening. Generally what I do is I'll teach Sicilian. That's the first thing. The French is solid, but Stonewall is still good from 1400 to about 1800. So he will keep that, and basically we start adding. We go Sicilian, we go King's Indian or Nimzo, and then lastly Stonewall will turn into E4 or D4 depending on their style. So he was like, oh man, I can't wait to get to 1400. I want to checkmate people with the Sicilian. And he just went from 1100 to 1300. So he's very close to making that step up. Performance bonuses go to Darby. So Darby Ward is also another student of mine. He actually signed up for the unrated section / tournament, but we didn't have enough people, so we put him in the main section, the under 1400 section. And I was honestly a little bit worried it might be too much for him. He's never played a tournament before, but he's been practicing online. He's been filling out his spreadsheet. He's been on top of everything, so he's been doing well. And he actually went ahead and he scored 2 out of 4 points. He beat an 1100 and he drew 2 1200s. For you to do that in your first tournament, and it's not even that he did it, it's the way he did it from the games I saw. Like he played good players and he didn't make any mistakes. When it got complicated, he traded down to end games. He didn't try to do too much. And I mean, to have 1200 as your first published rating is literally insane. That's very, very impressive. So he gets a performance bonus for that. And Arjun Garg, he was 1710, so he was the second lowest rated player in the tournament. But he played the highest rated player, Ethan Sheehan, ended up drawing him in a better. He actually had a better position, but had less time. So Ethan offered a draw, and Arjun took it. And to draw the highest seed, as basically he was 600 points rated lower than this guy, and he drew him in a better position. He's also been popping off recently. He was stuck for a while. I would say maybe 6 months to 8 months. He was kind of in a little, maybe you could say funk, where like he's practicing, he's doing his thing, but he wasn't really seeing any jumps, any big changes. And then last, or maybe 2 weekends ago in Charlotte, he gained about 150 points, and then here he gained another 30, 40 points with a good performance. He didn't just draw Ethan, he drew a 2000. He beat one player, and then I think he lost the last round. But even that game, I think he was doing well, and he had good chances to win that game. So he gets a performance bonus, as you guys know. If you get a performance bonus, you get free entry into one EAC tournament. Now, there were some other people that we thought about giving performance bonuses to. Honestly, like I thought if you go 4 out of 4 or 3.5 out of 4, especially like Ranganath was a 1400 in the under 1800 section, and he got a really, really good score. Now, I would have given him a performance bonus, but Carter made the point, like, if you already won a bunch of money, like, why are you getting a performance bonus too? So if you're mad about having a good tournament but not getting a performance bonus, please see Carter Pittman. What I kind of model this after is kind of like the UFC. I guess ideally one day we have infinite money, so we can just give whoever kind of earned it a performance bonus. But right now, it does make sense. Like, hey, if they already won money, then maybe we don't have to throw them a bonus as well. But in the UFC, you have a win bonus. And so basically, if you win, you get money. And if you have a great game, spectacular fight, then you also get money. So that would be the idea eventually. But right now, we will stick to basically the people who performed really well but didn't win a prize. They are the ones who will get the performance bonus. So that kind of wraps up the results of the tournament. Now to kind of go through the specifics of the tournament during the tournament, pros and cons. So one cool thing was since the tournament was having a very spectacular turnout, I decided to suit up and to wear a blazer. If y'all don't know How I Met Your Mother, suiting up is a very important thing. And I think it does speak about how you take the tournament, how I guess how seriously you want people to take you. I'm a huge fan of dressing up and dressing well, not obviously for no reason, but if the time calls for it, you automatically earn the respect of a lot of people. Now, of course, also running a tournament and everything, so this just compiles on other things, but dressing well is something that I think is very important and something that you don't really see in the chess community. Wow, that is a sick tactic. But you don't see in the chess community as much. And I think like if you're a professional, if you're a big organization, if you're a business that wants to be taken seriously, like suiting up and dressing well and holding yourself to a high standard are all important things. If you see like any business, any TED Talk, I mean, any sports organization, you can tell who the guys who are the higher ups and the official people and the difference between them and the players based off the way they dress and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was a good way to start, and it did. I think it did actually earn a lot of respect. I think everyone, and this is something I have to say about EACC tournaments in general. Like, they are some of the easiest, least confrontational tournaments you'll ever see, pretty much ever. Um, if you go to tournaments in other places, in other states, or big tournaments, you will sometimes see people literally yelling at each other, almost getting into a physical confrontation. You will see people, I mean, sometimes there are people who cheat. Sometimes there are people who break the rules. There are all these kind of things. Sometimes there are very rude people. We have had very good results with all of this. We've pretty much had no issues whatsoever, except for one blitz game that I thought was kind of silly. Um, but like I said, like I think when you're doing something for the community, when you treat yourself as a professional organization, when you treat everyone with respect, you get that back. And so far, so good. We did have shout out to William Remick. He did help a lot with the planning, not with the planning, but with the setup, with helping out, with being there, and all this kind of good stuff. He's all about the organization. That was really helpful and really good. And he helped us with trophies and TDing and all this kind of stuff. So that was great. Another great thing was the Skittles area. Normally the night before we set up and we just set up the boards. So this time we had we had so many people registered that we had to, one, set up more tables in the main room than we ever had. But two, like this idea that I kind of had was we set up the Skittles area. We set up boards there. I set up the printer and my kind of workstation not in the main area. So actually in the back. So one thing that happens a lot is if I just sit there, people come up to me and start talking to me. And this is something that we wanted to kind of address because there were some complaints about how people talk during the game and how it gets kind of loud and how they don't, that we should, there's something that we should work on. We should try to not encourage people to talk during the games or during the rounds. So I set up my workstation in the back. I set up the Skittles rooms. We put a bunch of boards in there, even set them up before the tournament started, and that kind of encouraged people to go. There were definitely a lot of more people in the Skittles area and that one and the library in general, which was great. And I think like what you really want is an environment where people want to analyze their games, where they want to look over their games, because that really helps the social aspect of chess, which I think is something that's very underrated. And very, very important. Like the social aspect of any event, organization, etc., is a big reason why a lot of people play. Like for me, when I played, I was pure competitor. I wanted to win everything. But some people, they're just trying to play chess, enjoy, and the social aspect is very important for them. So setting up the Skittles was great. Georgia Tech, another improvement. And this is something I think we can still work on because we only really started talking to them about 2 weeks out or about a week out. And something that we saw is like the better you plan, the more in advance you plan, the more things you can do, the more just options that you kind of have. And that's something that we did well for this tournament. We gave them a Georgia Tech discount. I mean, as someone who's gone to Georgia Tech, as someone who went to Georgia Tech, me and Carter included, like I think it is important that we help out the school. So we gave them a discount. We had a good showing. And just the more people that come, I mean, even if some of them are discounted, it's going to just lead to a better event. And this is, once again, and I'll harp on it again and again, this is why I really think building a list is very important, especially early out and offering discounts. And something that's cool is I'm actually starting to see other organizations do it too. So business is a business. Like you learn from the people who are doing it well. And I think the people are starting to see like, hey, we kind of know what we're doing. Like they're doing something good here. And I've already seen other organizations start to, I don't think the word is stagnate their entry fees, but basically form some kind of list so that 2 weeks out, 1 week out, you have already 30 people signed up. And like I said, like when people see that people are playing, more people are going to play. I think this is very important. And basically, 3 weeks out, we had pretty much near 30 to 40 people already signed up. When you know 30 or 40 people are signed up, you're more likely to sign up. This is actually something else that I've noticed. If you see people post on Instagram or Facebook, if they have 1 like or 2 likes, you are a lot less likely to sign up or to like their posts, because you're like, oh man, I'm only one of the few ones. But if someone has 100 likes or 150 likes, or let's even scale it up and say 1 million likes, now everyone's like, oh, of course I'll throw them another like. What's one other like? And for the most part, like, you like what you're seeing, you like the product. But the difference is you feel, I would say, more comfortable or more safe. Um, I mean, I don't know about safe, but you're just more likely to do it because you know it doesn't matter as much. So just like likes, I think also building that list is kind of cut from the same cloth of what I'm kind of talking about here. So that was great. So marketing wise, I would say this is the best job I've done. We pretty much stick to the schedule. Emails were sent. I think the first week I did Monday, but basically religiously every Friday morning, every Thursday night, I would schedule an email for Friday, just going through the same details. Another thing that I did for this tournament that I think is really good, at least for the future, is I basically wrote everything down ahead of time. So now it's almost like we have a formula. We know these, like 4 weeks out, you're gonna do this. 3 weeks out, you're gonna do this. 2 weeks out, you're gonna hit this, this, and this on the weekly. And then all the emails, every post has already been written. So I pretty much can just copy and paste everything for the next tournament. Everything will be copy and pasted. Um, of course, I will change the dates and certain details and the list and everything, but everything has been done. All we have to do is pick the dates to send everything. Everything else is written. Even the tournament preparation, what you need to do the week of, what you need to get the week of, what you need to buy the week of, all of this is done as well. Just so it's less thinking that you have to do. Also, you have basically, it's a checklist. I developed a checklist for tournaments, and I think this is important for chess tournaments, for everything. Having like a checklist or like a to-do list. I'm a huge fan of to-do lists. I love them. It gets me excited. It makes me feel like I'm doing something. Also, it's hard to hold everything in your head, but when you write it down, it's a lot easier. And now we basically have written down everything that we need to know for a chess tournament, which makes everything easier. And also, if I ever do pass this on, or if we ever want to expand to other markets or people, we can just send them this, and they're going to know exactly the to-do list of things to do, which I think is great. So as far as marketing went, Chess Register was there, Facebook, email, USCF Blast. Now, USCF Blast, normally we hit harder in the last week, but at least my idea for this one was hit it early, try to get as many people as to know. But at the end, like, we don't have to spend $30 every time, because we already have the email list. Pretty much the people that are going to play are on that list. Now, GCA, we did have some hiccups getting on the website early, but I think now we know what to do. That won't happen again. And I do think there's a lot of value being on the GCA website. I think there is a certain market of people that will 100% see that, and that will not see it if it's just through our email list. So that is important. Facebook, we had a Facebook group. I didn't really post on my personal Facebook or Instagram this time. Pretty much I just didn't see a lot of value in it. I don't want to keep, I guess, I don't know about annoying people, but I didn't know if I posted on my story the week of. That's probably something that I should work on. I don't have to post on my main page all the time, but stories I should be hitting left and right pretty much every week, almost religiously. Just like the emails, I think stories can 100% be an asset to marketing. Now, one funny story that I will say is, because I schedule all the emails. So basically, the night before, I'll write the email, and something you can do with Gmail is you can schedule it out to be sent 8 a.m. the next day. So if everyone sees my emails from this week, every single one of them should have been at 8 a.m. That morning. Now, the one problem with scheduling is I wrote in the tense of when I was writing the email. So basically what I did was Friday night, I wrote an email for everyone to have the information for the tournament, all this kind of stuff. And I wrote, good luck in tomorrow's tournament, because in my mind, it's Friday night. And I'm saying, okay, good luck tomorrow. But when these people receive the email, they get it Saturday morning. So when they say good luck in tomorrow's tournament Saturday morning, they're like, wait, is the tournament today? Is the tournament on Sunday. So I did have, I would say about five five people who were like, "Hey, is the tournament today or is it tomorrow? Because you said it's tomorrow." One person actually said, this guy Noah, he literally was like, "Hey, I think you scheduled send, and you meant to say today, but you said tomorrow, and you spot on. Yes, I did schedule it, and that's why it said tomorrow when it should have said today." So that's one thing that I have to edit and make sure I don't do again. Now another thing that we worked on to fix was the talking warning. So like I said, people were talking during the games. What we basically threatened to do is you get 2 warnings of you need to stop talking, and anything more than that, you start getting time penalties. Now the only person that really would have got a penalty was probably me and maybe Carter. um, for the most part, I did a much better job about it, but sometimes people just start coming up to me and talking, and I sometimes I will say something. So overall, huge improvement. I think everything was better than it was before, but I will say I still have some room to improve, and that is something that I will have to work on. But I mean, I think for everyone else, for the most part, it worked. No one really stated. I think another big part of it is almost pushing people to the Skittles areas, setting up the Skittles areas. So that's actually where people want to go anyway. So it's a win-win there. I talked about writing down everything. Set up the night before. It was great. The one thing that did happen was there were some things that we had to buy the day of. And some of like for example, the trifolds the store only opened at 9 a.m. So because we set up everything the night before, I could go get the trifolds with time to spare, but it is cutting it a little bit close. That being said, I don't know how I lost these trifolds. I had them the last tournament. Somewhere they disappeared. Now, of course, it's not like $1,000 per trifold, so it wasn't the worst. But I just don't understand how I lost it. But okay, that the problem is solved. So yeah, so setup was great. We set up the tournaments, the pairings. I think there was maybe like one sign up that late night that night. So everything was very much good to go. I would say everything was very punctual too. I wrote out the announcements, everything that I needed to say. Pretty much stuck to it. Nothing was super long. Everything was very, very easy. Everything was done smooth. As far as round times go, after round 1, I think the second round started maybe five, maybe 10 minutes past the normal time, but I think that just can't be helped because some of the games go long. It was not like we started on time, and we basically paired ASAP, so it wasn't like it was something that we did slow that led to this. It was just we did as fast as we can. That's how it ended up. Now this is something that I tried to do for this tournament, but I don't know if it actually adds value. Is I did put online pairings and online standings throughout the tournament. I think except for the last round. And something I kind of realized is if things are running very back to back to back, the online pairings don't really matter so much. Like it's only when you have time between the rounds that people really value the online pairings, because that's when, okay, I have an hour or two, I know who I'm gonna play, now I have some time to think about it. But when we're pretty much starting the round 5 minutes, 2 minutes before the round actually starts, online pairings I don't think really matter so much. Another thing about the online pairings and the standings is I did think that people would want to follow along and see how people are doing during the tournament. Now, that's one thing I can't really measure. Were people actually looking at it and checking it out? I feel like at least one person was. I know it's something that chess players like to do because it's something that I like to do. I like to follow along and see, like, how is my friend doing? How are people doing? And probably will do it again, though I do need to find a more efficient way to do it, because it was a lot of like copy paste times 3 every round, and like I said, if there's not much value coming out of it, is it worth the time? Is it worth the effort? I don't know. So online pairings are really a question mark. If anyone has any feedback on online pairings and standings, please let me know. I'm not sure what to do. Probably we'll do it again, and we'll see how the reception goes for that one. So now cons. So once again, this is a record tournament, one of the greatest tournaments we ever ran, turnout-wise, efficiency-wise. I will say strength-wise, the open section was about 30 deep, which is very impressive and is a lot of people. But as far as top heavy, I will say there wasn't as strong of a field as we're kind of accustomed to. Like normally we'll get like Zapata, we'll get maybe a Davis. You'll have like four people above 2,200. Okay, but actually let's say like eight people above 2,200, which is a little ambitious. But here I would say we only had three or four people above 2,200. Some new ones for sure. Like Rutten was a new person who hasn't played in one of our past tournaments. Um, but I definitely think there's room to make this tournament stronger. And I think especially with the divas, the high rated players, these guys want to be known ahead of time, way in advance. They always got some kind of thing going on, or they fall sick. I mean, part of it is I think some of them just don't want to play, and they need to find any reason. And look, I don't know if y'all know, but COVID's coming back. Like, he ran the tournament, and it's the first time I heard people getting COVID in a really long time. So are people actually getting COVID? Maybe, I don't know, or are people just kind of ducked the tournament, or they didn't want to play, so they came up with something. Once again, I don't know. All I can say is it's the first time I've heard people getting COVID in a while. So um, that's one thing. Now, another thing is losing stuff. Like I said, the trifold. Probably some kind of organization we need to do as far as where everything goes, inventory, all this kind of, is it inventory? No, inventory or inventory. All right, whatever. That's we need to do some form of inventory and knowing where everything is, knowing how much of everything we have, all that kind of good stuff. Also, we can be handing out prizes in cash envelopes to players, and didn't happen this tournament, but it has happened in the past where we literally lost an envelope. I think $100 to $200. It's one of the saddest things that can happen as an organizer. You're just like, man, that money just disappeared. It's just gone. It's literally just gone. So, I mean, checks is one solution. I know some people like cash. I know kids love cash too because it actually means something to them. So we can do cash, but we need to have a very safe and efficient way to distribute it and make sure that doesn't get lost. So that's something that we want to work on. Um, Conflicting tournaments. So once again, I don't know. Like these guys aren't even on the calendar, so I don't know if it's just dumb luck or bad luck that we keep doing tournaments the same weekend. But Chess Zone had a tournament. I mean, I think they had maybe 30, 40 signups. I could actually check. Actually, I'll check later. I'll just go on. I think they had 34 signups. Um, Now, if let's say they didn't have a tournament that same day, if 20 of those guys came, we would be hitting numbers like 80. And I think it's something that's very avoidable and that we should definitely look to avoid having tournaments on the same day. Uh, why are we hurting each other? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a business thing. Maybe it's by accident. The next tournament that we're running should be good to go. Um, so hopefully we can avoid that. Is just why do we need to do it? Now they do tournaments literally pretty much every weekend. So at some point, like, and I think this is something that I've kind of seen is if you do too many events, you do get some burnout from the people that play in the events. They basically are going to be like, well, I could just catch another event. They're not like the next week, something like that. So I think if they are doing events every weekend, like it might actually be hurting them more than helping them. So that's something that they should definitely keep in mind, as well as, I mean, hopefully we can just avoid it. This is also why we should be planning not 1 month in advance, but 3, 4 months in advance, or quarterly, or semi-annually. And part of this is also knowing, okay, are we going to do this event every time or this venue every time? That's something that I think that we're very close to making a decision on, especially after the success of this event. So if that can be done, if we can plan multiple months in advance, it's going to open a lot of doors, because I think it also opens doors for people out of state, because now they know, okay, 3 months from now I can play this. I'm going to pretty much lock this in, and now we are the default, and I think that would be good for business. So that's something that we also definitely need to work on. And lastly, as far as cons goes, is professionalism. Now, of course, as an organization, as people there, I think we're doing a really good job being professional. But boards and board numbers, clocks, I think we're fine. But at some point, we probably just want to invest in all new chess boards and chess sets. And I think this is also very important, is that the boards that we use for tournaments, they need to be handled with care. If we use the same boards we use at tournaments at the schools that we teach at, it's just you're fighting a fight that can't be won. Like those boards are not going to be okay. So the cleanup and the setup needs to be very on point. And this is going to pretty much go with the same idea of inventory. Like it needs to be put in a good place, it needs to be handled with care. That way there's no problem. That way these boards stay in mint condition as much as possible to maximize the value that we can get out of these boards. And board numbers too, I can print beforehand, cut out. So these are just some small things, but I think we've kind of hit that next hierarchy, that next level of organizing events, and these are things that you think about when you're hitting that next level. It's almost like a chess player. Like in the beginning, you just know a couple moves in every opening, but as you get better and better, you're going, instead of going 5 moves deep, you're going 10 moves deep, you're going 15 moves deep, until the point where you're a grandmaster and you know everything about why and when and who and what and where and all that kind of good stuff. So that is the summary for EACC7. Once again, thank you to everyone who played. There will be posts on Instagram. There'll be email sent out with a summary. Everything is rated. So definitely upping the email and the marketing game, which I think is very, very important. And that'll be it for this. Next, I will go into my Charlotte Open, my chess, and the kind of chess training, physical training, and my students and all that kind of good stuff. All right, so the next part of the podcast that I want to talk about is my tournament in Charlotte Open. Honestly, this tournament was okay. I scored 4 out of 6. Let me real quick just go round by round, talk about my games. So first game, I played this kid, Jonathan Joseph, about 2100. One thing I'll say is I hate round 1 having to play black. It's like, man, can you just give me white so I can be happy? But I played black. Honestly, I played a beautiful game. I missed a very weird tactic kind of early on, something that I should not have missed. And then we got in time pressure, and basically I had a winning position. I was winning, and I found the only way to lose. Like, and it was so bad that the way to, like, after I'm lost, or I think I'm lost and I blunder, I completely hallucinate and I forget that it's just a draw. And, like, I keep pushing, and then it just happened so fast. Now, the time control was 10-second increment. I think it was like 110 minutes, 10-second increment. And it's weird. It's like, so I flagged once against Andrew and Castle, and once you flag once, you have this really big fear of flagging again, and which definitely kind of holds you back. It's just like when you're traumatized, you're less likely to kind of just go. And you have this lingering over you. Now, it's probably good in a sense, too, where I'm definitely not going to flag because I know that it's possible. But at the same time, like, you play slow, you get in time pressure, and then you start making bad moves. And something that's just as bad as flagging is playing really bad chess. If you make bad moves, you blunder tactics, like, surprise, surprise, you're going to lose that way, too. So I ended up losing this game, and I will say, like, in tournaments, the first game kind of sets the tone for the rest of the tournament. This is something to keep in mind. Your first game, you're going to see this theme come up multiple times. And the theme here was connected pass pawns. Basically, I'm up a piece, but he has connected pass pawns that are just annoying. And at some point, they get so annoying, and he sacks a rook, and those 2 pass pawns end up winning the game for him. Now, okay, I lose the first game. I'm annoyed for sure, but all right, we're going to move on. We still got 5 games. Round 2, I played a pretty good game, played a new opening that I haven't played before. Now, opening maybe is a little bit sus. I will say it was a tiny bit sketchy, but we thugged it out, and we found a way to win this game in a nice fashion. Very beautiful mate. So, rebounded well. And round 3, I play this guy, Tyson Brady, and I basically play my first Sicilian that I've played in a while, or OTB. Get a beautiful game, beautiful position, good chess, exactly what you want. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, Sicilian kind of fire. Like, I like her a lot. Like, if Sicilian's a girlfriend, like, that's a girl you wife for sure. So that game was nice. It got him into prep. One thing annoying is I'm letting people see what I play. Um, so now instead of being a surprise, like people can prepare for it. Of course, it's still good, even if they play all the right moves. But now they can at least look it up and know, okay, he's gonna do this. Like that's what I have to be ready for. It's just a mind game that, unfortunately, nowadays you have to deal with. I really wish, like back in the day, you didn't know what your opponent played, and they didn't know what you played, and I'm fine with that. I really don't care what my opponent plays, like, because I actually study and work and train my openings. But when they know what I play, they can kind of click through fast, and it gives them a fighting chance, which I think is very annoying. It definitely supports I would say, the less prepared player. Um, of course, I think this is debatable. Um, but anyway, so I play a beautiful game round three. We have a great time. What do we do? I think Saturday. That's Friday night. Saturday night. Great time that night. Do some karaoke. Have some fun. Um, we thugging. We chilling. Um, and now I think this is where I play Carter. So yeah. So Saturday we have fun. Sunday morning is this game in the Sicilian that was pretty fire. And then I play Carter Sunday night. And the annoying thing with playing Carter is I had played training matches with him, like literally the weekend before, the I think 2 days before and the day before. I played some Blitz tournament, ended up winning first place. But like every single game is I played what I would have played against them. And the stupid part is every single game I won. Like I was getting great positions. He didn't know what to do. Um, and okay, now part of me didn't want to reveal the prep. Part of me was like, I want to surprise someone with this, so I'm not gonna play it. So I didn't play the prep. And that being said, I think out of the opening, I had a good position, or like quote unquote, like this was what you want in an opening. And then I kind of just played the player. I didn't play the position. I tried to attack when I played C4, which doesn't flow as well. I kind of just played like a psycho, and I basically just beat myself for no reason. I mean, on top of that, he also played a good game. They always do. Don't know why my friends like playing good games against me. Like their best games. Like dude literally had three knights on the board at some point. It's like, bro, like I've never seen you play like this before, and now you start. Like why now? Why against me? Is there any other chance? Like this actually reminded me of my friend. I played Eugene, and he played. I mean, this guy never checkmates anyone, and he literally checkmated me to death that game. Part of it, of course, is my fault for playing like a psycho and making it easy for them. Like both these guys don't really checkmate, and I literally gave them just perfect positions. So lesson there is stick to the plan. Especially like I work a lot on openings. I spend a lot of time on openings. So if I'm gonna go play a tournament, if I'm gonna put my rating at line, if I'm gonna put my money and my time and all this on the line, then I need to do what I trained to do. Like it's very silly for me to try to do anything else. So it was a very important life lesson there. Um, it is what it is. So I think I have 2 games after this depressing loss. um, Fortunately, both of them pretty good. I got another Sicilian from the black side. This one, a Rosalimo. Got literally just a beautiful position, exactly what you could ask for. Um, Now, the guy did survive pretty well. So I'll actually say, after I played Carter, I played in the Blitz tournament that night. And this is one of those, like, man, I'm just annoyed that I didn't do well. Like, I want to keep playing chess. And I went on to get 5 out of 6 in the Blitz tournament, won some money. Only person I lost to was a GM. Honestly, that game I played so bad. But even then, like, probably could have been a draw if I didn't play like a Oompa Loompa. But I ended up I actually played Alex Botes in the tournament too. That game I played really bad. I really was trying to lose, but I found a way to win. Um, but the Blitz tournament, I ended up getting 5 to 6, scoring well. So it was a nice little, I would say, like, comeback in the tournament, or just like a little boost of motivation. And then I went on to play this round 5 that I was talking about. Rosalimo played a beautiful position. I actually played this guy in the Blitz tournament. Colors reversed, so I kind of had an idea that I was gonna get a good position, but he was gonna find a way to survive, and then it was gonna be up to me to kind of to knock him out. And this is basically what happened in the game. Got a beautiful position out of the opening. He kind of survived. And this is something that I realized during the game, and I think is very important. If you're getting something crazy, if you're trying to do too much, and this actually kind of ties all in with what I was saying before, I have good jujitsu. If I take it to an end game, I can beat good players in the end game, not just people who have bad jujitsu. Like I have the ability to take it there. So at some point, I was like, all right, it's getting too crazy, it's getting too wild. My king's been walking all over town. So I just traded the queens off, got an end game, and literally within like 3 moves, his position just collapsed and fell apart. So that was another very important life lessons. If things are getting crazy and you have a good position, don't be afraid to just go to an end game. Transition to a good end game. It will make life easier, so that you don't have to worry about all this crazy stuff. So you can only live like a life X amount of crazy until it catches up to you. And that's basically what had happened in the Carter game. It caught up to me and is over at some point. Like if I had like these, I get to these positions where if there's any pieces on the board, if there's any way for me to be okay, I'm gonna win in time pressure. But I get a position that is so bad that like even if my opponent has 2 seconds left, like he's going to be okay. Like I just don't like it's so easy to play his position. So that's another very important lesson that I learned. Like go to the end game and like give yourself a fighting chance to hold or to not lose this position. So that was round 5, and then round six kind of an ugly game. I'm not gonna lie, but I guess he tried to win, and I found a tactic, and I mean even at the end, like the tactic technically shouldn't have worked. But now let me tie in. Like I said in the first round, sets the tone of the tournament. So first round, I lose to connected pass pawns. Round 2, okay, I get a checkmate. Round 3 against Tyson Brady, I win because of connected pass pawns. I push these pawns all the way down. I cash out. Round 4, I lose to Carter. Carter has connected pass pawns. The reason he wins is connected pass pawns. Round 5 against Thomas Fang, I win because I have connected pass pawns. The connected pass pawns, I push through, I found a tactic, and that's how I win. Literally, I used the tactic from round 1 to win round 5. And then round 6, it was just opposite color bishop and pressure. So of the games, 4 out of 6 of them were dealt or decided by connected pass pawns. So very interesting theme, very interesting. Like, hey, I keep seeing this. Something's here. So the big lesson are okay. Stick to the plan. Connected pass pawns are very important. Don't mess around with them. They make it a lot easier to win. I would say those are the big. The pros, I will say, the takeaways that are good are openings and money. Like as far as openings go, except for the one where I didn't stick to the plan, like I got good positions. I was really happy with my opening / middle game. Keep doing what I'm doing. I'm doing the Lord's work. So that was the lesson. That's what I would say are the takeaways from the Charlotte Open 2024. So yeah, so actually I wrote this down. Double pawns, playing fast. Okay, here's another one. Don't get low on time, especially when you have good positions. This is something I think is very important, but something that a lot of us do is we get in time pressure in good positions. The reason we do this is we spend too much time trying to find the perfect move, trying to find the most efficient way to win. And sometimes you do have to be precise, but a good chess player knows when to be precise and when to just go, when to flow. And I spent too much time trying to be precise. And I think this is what happens when you spend the majority of your time on openings. You're so used to having to play perfect and to know exactly what to do, otherwise you have no advantage. Whereas you don't get as good at just playing chess. So this is actually one of the big things that I'm going to work on with my sensei in the future. Just getting better at chess, getting better at making reads, at knowing how to plan, and knowing how to convert, all this kind of good stuff. Last thing that I'll say that I learned was the bishop pair is not necessarily always amazing. There are times when the bishop pair is great. There are times when the bishop pair is overrated. And once again, as a chess player, you need to know when is which. Otherwise, you're going to get a bishop pair and you're going to be like, wait, but I'm losing here. But I have the bishop pair. I should always be better. I don't get it. I don't understand. So definitely knowing your principles is good, but you have to know when it's legit and when this is an exception to the rule. So that is a summary of my Charlotte Open 2024. I will break down the last section of the podcast chess training, students, and sports next. All right, so chess says physical training. So literally over the month, I have developed an addiction to going to the sauna. I love going to the sauna. I be going like 30 to 40 minutes a day, at least I would say 5 days a week. So basically, if you don't know what a sauna is, one, what are you doing? Two, basically, it's a room that you sit in. Generally, there'll be a couple other people there too. And the weather or like the temperature of the room will get to about, I don't know, 150, 180 degrees. You sweat a bunch, feels really good. Um, and something that I'll do while in the sauna, if I'm not like talking to someone else in there, is I will finish my puzzles, my chess training, play games online while sitting there. So I'm basically getting a sweat in, getting a workout, quote unquote. But then at the same time, I'm also finishing my chess training. So it's a total win-win. Like I'm just getting more done. So really happy with that. It feels good. It's such a good, especially when the weather's cold outside. Like you don't want to move, you don't want to do anything. But when you get in the sauna, you get that little extra oomph, that little you're more motivated to go outside and do all that good stuff. So it's been a huge thing that I've been doing. Also, just been working out, been lifting. I have not been doing as much cardio and I would say like martial arts, hitting the bag here and there. But that I would say is something that I do need to add with February. January was really good. I would say just like January 1st, I was like really out of shape. I had been eating biryani and food literally like all day, every day, and had gotten super like I'm not gonna say like fat, or I'm not gonna say obese, but you could definitely say fat. Like I would say I have different standards of fat than some people, but yeah, I wasn't skinny then. But throughout the month, it's basically been a month now. I've definitely gotten back in shape, and I will say have lost a bunch of weight too, which was a really good feeling. It just feels so good on your body, on your joints, on your psyche, all that good stuff. So that's been really good training wise, physically. But like I said, you want to add back in running and cardio and competing. And this is definitely something that's gonna come with the weather. Like it's too cold to run right now. I will say like the weather is rebounding. It's gonna hit 60s this week or this weekend. So definitely by the next podcast, look to hear about some running and getting that cardio back in. On top of going to sauna and still doing what I love. So I think that's also it's just gonna compile. It's gonna get better and better. Um, Chess boxing. So chess boxing class has been started. We've been talking about it for a sec, but we finally kind of got that going, and it's going good too. Like I would say the signups are like increasing every week. There's more people participating, competing. So that's really good to see. It's always nice when you have an idea and then it starts to become it's like a little baby. It's like your baby starting to grow up. Now the coordination of the idea is tough, just because I have a lot of tournaments coming up. January I kind of took off. I only played Charlotte, but come February is a really busy month. Like literally almost every single weekend, there is something going on there. Um, March I think will be more of a cool down. So chess boxing might be weird in February, but come March it should be at least something that I can go to pretty regularly. Um, Now this is something I'm doing for myself as well as I'm doing for my students. I'm making opening review sheets, basically spreadsheets with a bunch of notes about when to do what, why to do what. I'm like really learning, like with my sensei especially. Like, okay, you can memorize things, you can learn things, but when you understand things, it's a whole different thing. Like the real good chess players, like Bobby Fischer, Magnus Carlsen, Kasparov, these guys didn't just find tactics. They didn't just memorize variations. Of course, they did. They definitely prepare. They definitely look at different variations, and they have a team and etc. 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 But these guys understood what was going down to a fundamental level, and when you understand the fundamentals, you can manipulate the variables a lot better. Like you can really start making some magic happen. Like to regular people, it looks like magic, but when you understand things, it's just normal. You're just flowing, and that's one cool thing. Like for example, since I've played so many openings, like Sicilian, I can flow into good Frenches and a lot of variations. Because I played French so long, because I have this understanding, I have this ability to turn Sicilians into Frenches based off positions or ideas or when to do what. So that's something that's cool. Um, as far as future tournaments go, like I said, I have one in Texas next month and one in Nashville pretty much the week after. So I think it goes February 15th and 19th is Texas, February 23rd is Nashville, and then March 2nd is our next tournament. So, yeah, like I said, a very, very busy schedule in February. It starts off kind of light, but that's really like, it's almost like I have a 2 week training camp and then it's just go, go, go. So that's what I have coming up. And I've been working with Sensei a lot. I have to wake up early, but I have been waking up early. One thing I learned about waking up early is if you really want to do it, you're going to do it. If you want to give yourself an excuse, then you're probably going to give yourself an excuse. Now, I will say there is a level where you need to sleep. If you've gotten 5 hours of sleep every day, you've been running around doing things every day, at some point, you do need to sleep. So, as much as you want to do something, you also, at some point, need to rest and recover. I think that is important. So, this is something I'm a huge believer in from start to finish, balance. You want and need to be balanced. That is very, very, very important in life and in chess and in everything else. um, so I would say that's, for the most part, it for my chess and physical training. I know kind of general, but next month is tournament month, so you're gonna have a lot of stuff broken there. Now, as far as chess students go, my students have been crushing it. Like they basically are all mini opening gods now because I've been making tests, I've been making quizzes, I've made them review sheets. Now it's really test time. So we've been going to a lot of stuff. They have a very good, deep, solid understanding of their openings, but now is the time for them to start getting tested on it. Now, another thing that's important for my students is not cutting them slack. Like the guy who won 4 out of 4 in the tournament, um, he played well. He knows his openings. He knows what he's doing, but he was missing wins because he hadn't finished his tactics. And if you don't do your tactics and you miss wins, that's on you. You need to do better. If you have really good tactics and sometimes maybe you take a day off or something, all right. If that's your strength, then you can do it. But you have no excuses if you take a day off and then you miss what you're supposed to study. That is completely up to you. Um, so that's very important. Another thing that I've learned is having a plan versus on the fly chess lessons. I have certain students who um, I know exactly what I need to go over with them. I know exactly what to say, what to do, what exercise to do. And for those guys, the lessons go by not only very fast, but very efficiently. Like the whole time we're doing something, I'm never like, okay, we got 30 minutes left. Instead it's like, oh man, we only have 30 minutes left. I need to finish all this. This is actually a way I feel with my teacher when we study chess. Like I literally will be like, oh my god, I only have an hour left. Like we really need to move faster. Like I wish I had more time. That's when you know you're getting stuff done. When you're just sitting there and you're like, oh my god, 30 minutes left, like when is this gonna be over? That's when you know you're not doing enough or you're not doing anything or you need to start doing more. Um, so where it gets hard is I have certain students who will play different openings than I would say are my main openings, or sometimes it's like not even stuff that I know super well. Like okay, I will say at this point I played enough chess and done enough things where I know at least a little bit about everything. Like I'm not gonna say I know every opening, but all the major ones, all the big stuff, I will say like I can confidently say like, all right, I kind of know at least something that can help out this guy who's 1,000 points lower rated than me. That being said, though, if they play what I know really well, I just can offer them so much more value. So part of it is convincing my students to get on board, and this has been really easy when I know the material really well. Like for example, so Stonewall and French, like I can sell that so well because I have confidence. I've literally taught people and seen them improve really fast with really good results. So I can sell it because I believe it. Now, certain openings or certain things, I'll be like, I guess you could do this. And that's a lot harder to sell. and they can sense that because I'm not as confident. So 0 to 1400 right now is money. I know exactly what to do, exactly what to say, exactly what they need to do for them to be successful. Now the harder part is 1400 plus, and what makes it hard is I have been spending a lot of time developing this for the other guys, the 1400, the people under 1400, and I've been kind of developing stuff for myself, but I haven't had time to teach it with the same level of like gusto and ability as I can with the other easy stuff. So, knock on wood, once I finish developing all this material for the 1400s, I can pretty much focus on the higher, stronger students as well as myself. It's a win-win because I'm basically teaching them what I play, and if I make review materials for them, I make review materials for me. If I make review materials for me, I'm making it for them. So pretty much the first wave is almost complete, and now I'm really trying to work on the second wave to help these guys get even better. Um, and then the other thing that I do really want to do for my students who don't play the same openings, there's going to be some people who just play different things or who just really like playing this when maybe I don't like it. I need to find good exercises or good positions to help everyone improve in chess. Not just if you play the opening, not just about opening, but also about how do you just become a better chess player. And I have some stuff there, some ideas there. I have some principles, some tests as well, but I need to develop, just like I have developed opening tests to test people's knowledge on certain things. Same thing needs to be done in middle game knowledge and testing to see if these guys have these concepts down. So, can't say this enough. Testing is important. At some point, you do need to test people. That way, they feel like they're learning. I definitely know that some of my students feel like they're learning, and when they do, they are. I mean, it's what they want, right? If you're a real chess player, if you really enjoy chess, you will want to learn. It'll encourage you. It's what you want. And that's what I get with my teacher. When we work together, when we go over things, I want to learn, and when I feel like I'm learning, like I'm happy, and he's happy because he knows he's teaching me, and it's win-win all around. And then vice versa. If you want to learn but you feel like you're not learning, you're gonna start questioning this person. You're gonna start being like, okay, is this guy really know what he's doing? Like, maybe I should go get another coach. Maybe I should do this. Um, so that's things that I'm gonna work on. But like I said, things are on the up and up. Fumble my words, but in a positive direction, as I would say most things are going right now. All right, lastly, just some random stuff that I want to talk about. If y'all want to dip now, now would be the time. This is just random stuff on my mind. First thing, just to keep it chess related, is something that I've been seeing a lot. People surviving bad positions and then finding a way to win. And I mean, this is kind of my theme for 2023, learning to play with bad positions. But I've been seeing it across all levels. If you can just keep playing, if you can just not get knocked out, it's going to open a lot of doors for you. Now, to go into sports, speaking of knockouts and all this, yesterday was a very important day. Yesterday was a special day in the history of the earth and the world and everything. Because my man, Benjamin Simmons, the basketball player, has played a game of basketball. Now, if you don't know who Ben Simmons is, let me tell you guys. So basically, this guy was the number one draft pick. I think played for LSU. Was at one point, a very good player. Had a lot of promise, a lot of potential. Was doing good, and then he broke. Atlanta broke this man. It broke him so bad that he pretty much, I didn't believe he would ever play basketball again. And for the last year, X amount of days, he has been not playing basketball because that's literally it. He just doesn't want to play basketball. And he's been getting $1 million deals, $1 million contracts, which really blows my mind. This man is making $1 million, $5 million a year to do nothing. Like, if you are a basketball player and you don't play basketball and you get paid millions of dollars to not play basketball, like, sign me up for that. Like, I'm down for that. I will get paid $1 million not to play basketball. Sounds like the dream. Like, anyone could do that. And that's what a bit. Officially, he's back. I couldn't believe it. I had to check the box score. Like if someone told me he was playing, that wasn't enough. I need to actually see that this man had minutes logged, had points on the board, because otherwise I would not believe it. But yes, Ben Simmons is back. Now one thing that I do hate about the NBA right now, like okay, overall I will say I love the NBA, love watching basketball. It's one of my favorite things to do. Is people nowadays, the star players, they're just not playing. Like yesterday, the Blazers played the Sixers. Now, okay, I will bet some money on basketball games, and sometimes I'll make some money, sometimes I'll lose some money. But yesterday, all I needed was the Sixers to win to close out like a 5-leg parlay for like a good payout. The Sixers were huge favorites, and then all of a sudden, they even were like winning by 10 in the beginning of the game. Next thing you know, they're losing, and I'm like, dude, they got Joel Embiid, they got Tyrese Maxey. How are they losing to these bum Blazers? But then, well, little do I know, both of their star players are not playing. Why? Why are they not playing? They were set to play. I just don't understand why sometimes these guys just do not play. It's really annoying, and you're gonna see that all the time. And the other really annoying part about it is they don't commit to not playing until the game starts. If you're not gonna play, you need to say that the day of. And you know what these guys do? These basketball players do? They put themselves as questionable. Everybody questionable. I literally think Anthony Davis and LeBron James have been questionable for 90% of games this season. Sometimes they play, sometimes they don't play. But one thing I know is they will be questionable. They will always be questionable. Maybe they're gonna play, maybe they're not gonna play. We don't know. Nobody knows. Only they know. And anything is possible. Maybe they play, maybe they don't play. It's so annoying. Now let me go further more with this. This playing stat. There are three teams that are the bane of my existence. They are the Blazers, the Toronto Raptors, and the Miami Heat. Now the Miami Heat are the bane of my existence for the saddest reason. It's because I love them. It's because they are my team. But every game they play, they lose. I don't know what happened. They used to be good, and then all of a sudden they suck. Like I'm just gonna say it flat out. Right now, Miami sucks. They have a good team. They are actually healthy. They were playing better when they weren't healthy. Like how does that work? When you have more injuries, you were beating better teams. Why? Like why can't you play? Like I don't know. Like they made a trade for a good player, a player that I was excited to be on the team, and ever since they got him, they've been worse. Like this is anti-Miami basketball. Normally, Miami overachieves. They find a way to make it work. They will have the worst team, but they will fight hard and they will win. Right now, they have the better team, and they are playing worse. I don't understand. So basically, I will never bet Miami. I can't do it anymore. My heart hurts too much, and like, it's not even that they're getting whooped. It's like seeing someone just beat up your fighter, fight after fight, and you're just watching. Now the Blazers are all like I think they have like 10 wins this season. Every single win was a game that they were huge underdogs and done some miracle happen. And the other thing with the Blazers that hurts a lot is they don't just win; they destroy the good teams when the good teams are playing bad. It's just like, bro, like you're an 1800 and you're beating these 2300s. Like how? The problem is, in this 1800, every other game, like let's say they have 10 wins and 40 losses. For every one game they play great, they have five where they just get destroyed. So, like they literally played the Thunder and they lost by 67 points, something like that. Like they like set the record for the worst loss in NBA history. But for some reason, when I want some team to beat them, they flip the script. The Raptors are the same. The Raptors only like they literally have lost 9 out of 10 games, and then today they decided to play a great game against the Bulls. So there are people you trust, there are people you don't trust. There are basketball teams you trust and basketball teams you don't trust. You know who I really trust? The Boston Celtics. I love the Boston Celtics because when they're supposed to win, they win, and every once in a while they might lose, but you kind of know they're going to lose. They're in a spot where they might lose. But once again, even if they lose one, they win 10. Like that's something I can get behind. So You got to learn your lessons. You got to understand that not everyone's built the same. Don't treat everyone the same because they're not the same. And if you treat them the same, you get bad results. You get inconsistent results. um, Now, you know who else I trust? The Detroit Pistons. If there's one thing I know, the Detroit Pistons have a very good chance of losing. They lose. Right now, their record is 6-40. 6 wins, 40 losses. And the crazy part is one of the games they won, I called them winning. That was the game that they were supposed to win. And you know who they beat? They beat the Toronto Raptors. They're the team that's just as bad, except when they play certain teams. Certain teams that I thought that they would lose to. The Toronto Raptors, the same team that lost to the Detroit Pistons, is beating teams that are good at basketball. How does that make sense? Why does that make sense? I don't know. So, whether it's good or whether it's bad, there are certain people I can trust and certain people I can't. And that is something that I've learned. And basically, and it's not even like you can say that they're going to lose now, because every once in a while, they're going to win when you want them to lose. They're going to lose when you want them to win. They somehow these teams know exactly what you want, and they will give you the opposite of that. You can't predict it. You can't expect something because they will do the opposite of it. I feel like this is like certain relationships. Like you get stuck with this kind of person. It's like I don't know if you're happy or if you're sad. I don't know what you want. I literally just cannot read you. So that is some of these basketball teams for me. All right, last thing that I want to say. Okay, UFC 297. Nah, we'll just go to football. For the most part, I would say I called these playoffs. I did think the Ravens were going to beat the Chiefs. Oh my God, the Chiefs are another one, man. Like they lost some of the most disgusting games over this last year. They lost to the Packers. If they could have just beat the Packers, that was $400 more. You know who else they lost to? They lost to the Raiders. They lost to the Raiders, and the Raiders didn't even score an offensive touchdown. They scored 2 defensive touchdowns. Maybe they scored 1 offensive touchdown, but the Raiders won because they scored 2 defensive touchdowns. How are you in the Super Bowl and you lost to the Raiders, who didn't have anybody? This is after all the injuries. They were a terrible team. They beat the Chiefs and the Packers. I even think the Chiefs lost to another stupid team. Like the Chiefs are another one where like they will do the opposite. It's very annoying. Like, the Ravens, for the most part, you could trust. They would beat most people. They would play well. They'd fight hard for your money. The Chiefs did not care. The Chiefs sometimes could play the worst football you can imagine. And other times, they can beat anyone too. It's just, you need some consistency. Is what I'm trying to say here. Otherwise, like, I don't get it. Like it's just chaos, and you can't root for chaos. You can't bet on chaos because it's just a bad strategy. So, that has been football and basketball and certain teams. There were some cool UFC things. The UFC is back this Saturday. Literally only one event the last month, or maybe 2. Which feels kind of weird. Generally, it's pretty much every week, except for maybe 1 every 2 months. But there's some really good fights coming up. Some great cards. UFC 100 is going to be its own thing. Definitely want to break that down at some point. But yeah, so this is the Master of One podcast. Went through EACC7, went through Charlotte Open, and then some nice fun. Well, first some chess things, some student things that I had to go through, and then just some fun sports things at the end. So hope you all were entertained. As far as scheduling goes, just keep posted. I am getting better at marketing, but Rome was not built in one day. So with that, I fed you guys. All right. You guys adieu? No, I think I'm saying it wrong. I bid you farewell is what I've been trying to say. So adios till the next one. Peace.